In the early 1970s, the Caribbean Customs Law Enforcement Council, or CCLEC, was best described as a loose grouping of customs administrations who met annually to discuss problems and challenges, with much of the focus being on drug enforcement in the Caribbean. With passing decades, new and increasing political, economic, and security demands were being placed on customs administrations. As a result, it became even more urgent for customs administrations to improve the timely exchange of information between themselves in order to meet these demands and succeed against drug trafficking and equitable collection and protection of government revenues. This required a more structured customs entity, which became known as the Caribbean Customs Law Enforcement Council.
Before the CCLEC came into existence, individual member administrations were operating in a siloed manner. What the CCLEC has done for the region is that it has now brought all these various customs administrations under one umbrella. And not only regionally, but it has also moved to foster relationships with international organizations. For example, the WCO, MIAC-N, and the World Trade Organization.
In 1989, under the auspices of the 12th Annual Conference held in Miami, Florida, a Memorandum of Understanding regarding mutual assistance and cooperation for the prevention and repression of customs offenses in the Caribbean zone was concluded by members and opened for signature. The MOU gave the 21 original signatories an informal basis to exchange information on all types of customs offenses, including duty evasion, illicit drugs, weapons, and other illicit transborder activities and trafficking organizations. In 1994, the government of St. Lucia offered to host the permanent secretariat, and the United Kingdom agreed to provide the services of a senior official as a permanent secretary.
In 1995, the government of St. Lucia took the bold step to host the CCLEC Secretariat, which is the Caribbean Customs Law Enforcement Council, because it was recognized by the Comptroller and the government of St. Lucia by extension that having such a regional body to facilitate the customs cooperation and the exchange of information was significant and beneficial not only to St. Lucia but to the wider region and beyond. St. Lucia was very excited to be a part of that government entity and as a result gave its full support to home that organization.
In a nutshell, CCLEC is an intergovernmental association of 39 customs administrations, which embraces all the cultural strands including English, French, Spanish, and Dutch administrations across the Greater Caribbean. This broad sphere of influence allows for effective cooperation and exchange of information at the operational and strategic levels.
Despite having achieved much together in the areas of law enforcement, capacity building, the harmonization of customs processes and information sharing, CCLEC Council members recognized that the MOU under which they operated for over 4 decades had outlived its usefulness. Therefore, a resolution of CCLEC Council was adopted at its 40th annual meeting in Miami in June 2018 to transition to an agreement establishing the Caribbean Customs Organization and on mutual administrative assistance in customs matters. This treaty was signed at the 41st Council meeting in Havana, Cuba on the 22nd of May 2019 by 14 member governments.
Moving from a memorandum of understanding based organization to a treaty-based one not only facilitates or forces member administrations to pay much needed dues, but it also forces member administrations to bring their own individual legislation as it may regard data protection to a particular level.
The formation of the Caribbean Customs Organization signals a new beginning for heightened cooperation as a customs organization, togetherness in purpose and unity of action in securing our collective borders and nations, as well as effectively and efficiently facilitating legitimate international trade into the future. The Caribbean Customs Organization preserves the previous benefits of the Caribbean Customs Law Enforcement Council and also provides new benefits to its member administrations. A legally established international organization with global recognition by governments, regional and international institutions, including the United Nations, the World Bank, the IMF, etc., pooled customs, human and technical expertise available to members. It enables international representation of regional customs issues, collaboration in law enforcement to address common problems.
The new legal environment and political circumstances require an international organization rather than an informal cooperative effort. So it was decided by the Council of the CCLEC that we would be moving into a treaty-based organization. The big advantage of a treaty instead of an informal organization is, of course, that an organization that's based on a treaty is recognized internationally, and it's much easier for such an organization to get funding from international monetary institutions like the IMF, the World Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank. So that is one side, a financial advantage that we see in having such an agreement. But the other side, of course, is that this whole organization is about cooperating in the region. And that means effectively that we are exchanging information amongst ourselves. But there are a lot of restrictions on sharing information with other countries, like confidentiality. All customs administrations are bound to have their professional secrecy. There's also that you can use this information only for certain purposes. And there is much more important requirement these days about personal data. There are many restrictions about exchanging personal data. Without a treaty base, it was very difficult to overcome these obstacles. In the agreement, we now have the foundation for exchanging information freely between those that will be members of the new organization.
When we go the route of a treaty, member administrations are going to be bound by law to uphold the tenets of that treaty. One of the major tenets of the CCO is information sharing. Member administrations must all be on even keel as it relates to domestic laws around data privacy and security. That is a major advantage of moving from a MOU-based organization to a treaty-based organization.
And so the purpose of the Caribbean Customs Organization shall be to concern itself with customs cooperation and with all related matters of common interest to the customs administrations of the members, as well as, and in close cooperation with the World Customs Organization, in customs matters of interest to the organization at the global level. The functions of the organization will include ensuring effective revenue collection, ensuring collaboration to counter risks of cross-border crime, supporting and coordinating the regional customs response to violent extremism and terrorism, enhancing the security and facilitation of the international supply chains, better securing national borders by enhanced monitoring and control of international movements of goods and people, encouraging and supporting the exchange of information among members, coordinating information gathering and intelligence sharing capabilities, ensuring implementation of cross-regional risk management techniques and collaborative operations, sharing results of controls carried out, and assisting in capacity building and technical cooperation programs. There are 4 strategic priorities of the Caribbean Customs Organization. The first is trade facilitation, the law enforcement and border security, capacity building, information technology. In respect of trade facilitation, this has to do with supporting the facilitation of legitimate trade. Customs administrations of member states who have signed and ratified the World Trade Organization Trade Facilitation Agreement, TFA, the World Customs Organization Revised Kyoto Convention, RKC, CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME Agreement, and the treaty establishing the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, or those who intend on signing, have committed to simplify and facilitate trade, the free movement of labor and capital, and so boost regional and international economic growth, while ensuring the security of the supply chain, our societies, and government revenue. This is partly achieved by employing smart, non-intrusive technological inspection tools along the supply chain and at national borders. Trade facilitation requires customs to pursue an aggressive agenda of modernization in respect of their processes and to employ system-wide risk management policies and techniques that identify and treat high-risk transactions, consignments, passengers, and conveyances, while permitting those of low risk to proceed without delay. More reliance will be placed on collaborative development and implementation of workable versions of the approved economic operator and post-clearance audit regimes to reduce the number of physical checks at the borders and so reduce import transaction costs. The sheer speed of international trade, the reliability of transportation networks, access to global information and communication networks, an expanding e-commerce sector, and the reduction of traditional trade barriers make trade facilitation an indispensable factor of economic growth. The Caribbean Customs Organization, with its strategic partners, will take the lead and rally support for implementing customs reform and modernization programs among member administrations that will deliver trade facilitation, societal protection, and fair tax collection and integrity in customs.
The treaty establishing Caribbean Customs Organization would facilitate the pooling of resources and efforts to build seamless communication networks to share and to implement best practices, retrain and build capacities across the region, and to share intelligence on risks and threats among its members in real time. As a regional customs bloc, the members will be in a position to elicit and attract support from international partners for in-kind and technical assistance, to implement plans and protocols for modernizing customs operations, and to stay relevant in the trade facilitation.
The Caribbean Customs Organization will support the membership to secure national and regional borders with enhanced tools, practical interagency enforcement programs, and operations to be coordinated through the CCO Joint Intelligence Office, which is connected to the World Customs Organization's global customs enforcement network. The basis of these interventions will be premised on renewed risk management and intelligence development programs, information and best practice sharing, facilitation of mutual administrative assistance between members, customs enforcement network, information sharing tools and networking, reinforcement through empowerment, training and operational fitness, an integrated border management approach, provision of needed tools and equipment, regional contraband interdiction initiatives in various transport modes.
The key factor in cross-border collaboration is the ability to share information, intelligence, and data with our international partners. CCLEC is uniquely positioned to make a real difference to the quality of the Caribbean customs intelligence community. International cooperation can be achieved through joint operational work, and the JIO was established to provide this nexus between the international community and the region.
The Caribbean island is spread across a maritime space of approximately 2.6 million square kilometers and from a chain of 4,160 kilometers in length. They represent a diverse group of entities reflecting the colonial history of the region. Many islands have British roots, while others have Spanish, French, or American cultural, economics, and political ties. Some are independent states, while others are political dependencies. The one common factor between all the countries is that of their susceptibility to transnational threats: narcotics trafficking, money laundering, illegal migration, counterfeit. This vulnerability is multiplied in the Caribbean island states given their strategic location between the source and major markets. The probably overworked statement, "No one country can face drug threat alone," is never truer than now. That's why I'm sure that one significant counter to transnational threats has to be the further development of an enhancement of principle of information sharing. I'm sure that everyone supports the view that good intelligence holds the key to combating transnational threats. We are painfully aware that we need an international intelligence center for the purposes of collecting, analyzing, and disseminating intelligence to the appropriate agencies. CCLEC created the Custom Enforcement Network to share customs information and intelligence. This system works for the region and the World Customs Organization, which established the Caribbean Regional Liaison Office. In addition, within the CCLEC is developed a fundamental instrument, the RCS. It's a great means available to the states. It allows to know, target the pleasure boats in the area. It also serves as a statistical base for tourism in our region.
Through generous funding by the United Kingdom's Border Force, the regional clearance system has been upgraded and matured into 2019 and 2020. A central facilitation and border control tool, the RCS is used regionally to enter and clear pleasure vessels at various ports and marinas via the internet. It also collects yachting statistics for departmental reporting and national economic forecasting. Member administrations are being provided with additional computerized kiosks to make the clearance process easier and expeditious for mariners and less laborious for customs. Again, the United Kingdom Border Force financed this kiosk along with support from the EU's CCOP program.
While many of our commercial ports, for the most part, are automated and have systems in place for the recording of vessel arrival, our outlying ports, which receive smaller pleasure crafts, are still operating on a manual basis. The RCS bridges that gap for us, in that it provides a safe, secure, online method of recording vessel arrival, passenger information, as well as crew information. Additionally, it provides us with an ability to search and to track vessels, crew, and passengers.
The Caribbean Customs Organization has completed and will provide a live online regional aircraft declaration system called RADS to be rolled out to members and aviation operators in the last quarter of 2019. This new administrative border control tool will enable Caribbean customs administrations to facilitate the clearance of private aircrafts calling at Caribbean airports while maintaining border security objectives similar to the service provided by RCS for pleasure yachts. The United Kingdom Border Force again provided funding for this project.
To keep an organization alive, meeting and collaborating is a key tool which is needed to discuss matters where decisions need to be taken to strengthen our network in facilitation and the exchange of confidential information, as well as to carry our evaluation on the performance of our work programs. By regularly meeting, members within the custom network also can have the opportunity to connect with one another to discuss issues which jointly affect the region, and in so doing can decide on collective or collaborative solutions. As a law enforcement organization, it is very important to periodically review our strategies in order to reach the necessary efficacy needed to fight against organized crime and their consequences.
CCLEC meetings provide that forum in which regional administrations can sit, discuss issues, formulate strategies, and have discussions to do with greater coordination and capacity building. So the benefit of CCLEC regionally is immense.
Executive committee meetings are held to examine, approve, and evaluate the strategies and work programs of the organization being executed through its secretariat, ensuring that approved programs are carried out and are achieving the intended effects of supporting member administrations to achieve the national mandates of revenue collection, trade facilitation, border security, information sharing, capacity building, integrity, human resource management, and modernization. There are 4 executive committee meetings annually. Council meetings are held at least once annually. It convenes the highest CCLEC CCO authority for decision making, for the final approval of all programs, budgets, strategic plans, reception of new members presented by the Executive Committee, presents opportunities for interaction of administrators to share among themselves new ideas, best practices, experiences, technologies, and trends useful to improve customs management. The Caribbean Customs Organization and its sponsors will invest in, develop, and support the delivery of blended, that is, e-learning and face-to-face training programs to member administrations in view of improving officers' academic and technical abilities in a wide range of customs and border security disciplines. Accreditation of courses will be pursued, as well as the training of trainers who will deliver the courses regionally. The benefits to be derived from this are cost effectiveness and value for initial investment, flexibility and accessibility to training courses, sustainability, and standardization.
The value of CCLEC is beyond measure. It brings countries like the Angola Customs Department Administration to the same table as international organizations such as the WCO and developed countries, where we can discuss similar ideas, similar challenges, and come up with meaningful solutions. With our enforcement efforts, through the networks like the ELO, it has allowed Angola Customs Department to be a part of a strong chain. So the Angola Customs Department has a role and will continue to uphold the tenets of this organization because it helps us to align with international best practice.
La capacitación en las que tiene que ver con las administraciones aduaneras son determinantes. Delegan realmente lo que son las funciones en quienes tienen la responsabilidad de estar en la zona primaria de aduana. Y los conocimientos tienen mucho que ver con lo que tiene que ver con el ingreso del Estado, tiene que ver con los controles. Y esto pues es necesario y desde hace muchos años, desde que nosotros firmamos con el CCLEC en el año 1992, uno de los compromisos fue ese. A partir de ahí, ya en el año 2008, recuerden ustedes que la aduana inauguró el centro regional de la OMA, o sea, un centro realmente dedicado o seleccionado para la capacitación, no solamente a nivel interno de nuestros oficiales, sino también de América Latina. En ese sentido, el CCLEC ha tenido más de 60 cursos durante ese tiempo, donde han pasado más de 600 oficiales de la región. Y esto ha sido importante. Los temas: valoración, lo que es partida arancelaria, lo que es el fraude comercial en sentido general, pero también los controles en la parte que nos toca a nosotros en términos de la seguridad de la ciudadanía. O sea, permanentemente hemos estado preocupados por la capacitación de quienes tienen la función de responder no solamente a los ingresos, vuelvo y repito, sino también a la seguridad ciudadana. Nosotros realmente también hemos tenido la iniciativa de tener la capacitación en la parte de lo que son los mandos medios. No solamente la capacitación en la parte que tiene que ver con quienes ingresan a la aduana. Es una herramienta importantísima porque sin conocimiento, ¿cómo van a la zona primaria? Pero también lo que son las personas que tienen los mandos medios han estado también trabajando con la Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo en licenciatura sobre comercio internacional. Hay un elemento importantísimo que tiene que ver con el riesgo operativo, que tiene en la parte también del personal, pero también hay un riesgo técnico. En ese sentido hemos estado capacitando en la Dirección de Aduana y a nivel del Caribe también sobre el riesgo. El riesgo que tiene que ver no solamente en la parte, vuelvo y repito, de los ingresos, donde se hace la selectividad de la carga. ¿Quién realmente es confiable en el sentido del tratamiento que le va a dar la aduana en cualquier parte del mundo? Entonces eso también lo estamos fortaleciendo.
The Caribbean Customs Organization has commenced focusing heavily on the enhanced integration of information technology and automation within the operations of customs and border security agencies. This drive is not only to focus on the technical components of customs businesses, but also extends to the administrative operations which underpin all departmental activities. We believe that as we work to create value for all members, our focus must be holistic, striving to improve the complete customs business cycle and workflow in service delivery to its clients, both local and international. The promotion of IT will introduce a new appreciation in regional members of the strategic and operational benefits of proper management of data and information which is routinely collected in the customs business day.
The use of ICT, information communication technology, has been one of the key enablers for the customs reform. It really has changed our way of doing business. In applying automation, we have been able to deliver services in a far more efficient manner, and also transparency and accountability is one of those are two important aspects as we carry out our functions.
In response to members' needs, the Caribbean Customs Organization's strategy is to promote a suite of professional IT solutions and tools that will enhance the operations and work of member administrations. This will lend to reform and modernization, enhance records management, improve leadership and management decision making, intuitive risk-based business diagnostics, self-evaluation and connectivity to international value chains. This will ensure the effective delivery of the customs mandate to all stakeholders. The Caribbean Customs Organization will continue to honor and deepen the MOUs and working relationships of CCLEC with its strategic partners, the World Customs Organization, CARICOM Impacts, the OECS Commission, the National Joint Communication Center, CARTAC, the Inter-American Development Bank, the United Nations, the UNODC, Interpol, the OAS, and others to support the work and modernization of members. The WCO's many modernization tools will be continually used by the Caribbean Customs Organization to deliver programs to its members, and in addition, tools that are developed directly by the Caribbean Customs Organization.
CCLEC is really our very important ally, because customs law enforcement is the regional connection of customs and cooperation through sharing information and best practice is very important. And actually, CCLEC, we have a MOU with the CCLEC, but CCLEC hosts one of our regional intelligence liaison office for the Caribbean region. Therefore, information exchange between CCLEC and WCO to be reflected on global customs policy is very important.
The current Customs Act dates from 1941. It has served us well, but it is an old piece of legislation. Since 1941, we have undertaken piecemeal amendments in 2004, I believe in 2003, and certainly in 2014, we did amendments to the legislation in order to facilitate the implementation of the ASICODA World Customs System, which is our electronic communication system. But never, of course, to the extent that we're doing now, which is a repeal and replacement of the legislations. It's a wholesale, comprehensive review of the legislation.
Now, in any customs administration globally, you need to have a proper legal instrument. And that legal instrument, though it is a tool for enforcement, it must also, above all, be a tool for facilitation. And so because we are very serious about it, we have made the necessary investments so far to ensure that we are creating a bill in partnership with our trade to ensure that we give them something that they so deserve.
Montserrat Customs and Revenue Service, like the membership of CARICOM, recognize the changing political and economical landscape of the region. And we as a group have taken steps to advance or to enhance our cooperation with other regional and international law enforcement agencies, in particular to enhance regional security by guarding against the movement of illicit and prohibited goods, while carrying out our primary duty of facilitating trade and serving the people of our respective nations. We have agreed on a strategy to put cooperation on a sound footing.
St. Lucia has decided to move towards a border control agency as a result of the demands on the international trade environment, where persons moving across the border and goods supposed to be seamless. So in order that we conform to the international standards, customs must move towards a single entity, which is where the agencies across the border, working at the borders, will work as one. So in other words, what will happen is that our time of processing time will reduce and persons will be intercepted when necessary. So customs will cause less delays to persons who ought not to be interrogated, and goods which we are comfortable that there is no need to examine.
The Caribbean Customs Law Enforcement Council will transition into a new entity, the Caribbean Customs Organization, after the depositing of the 10th instrument of ratification by a member country. 14 CCLEC members signed the treaty at the inaugural ceremony on the 22nd of May 2019 in Havana. The Republic of Cuba deposited the first instrument of ratification in November 2019. Other signatories are working on their ratification process. Thank you, Ambassador, for the very first instrument of ratification from Cuba. We are very happy to receive it, and we would convey our greetings and our thanks to your President and also the government and people of Cuba on our behalf. The government of Guyana has informed the CCLEC Secretariat of having received approval for accession to the treaty. All of the Caribbean states have indicated their interest in being members by transitioning to the new organization. Customs administrations of the entire Caribbean basin, the Netherlands, Spain, France, Canada, the United Kingdom, all look forward to its initiation and the continued evolution of customs cooperation regionally and internationally.